we mentioned it briefly, work that not only Akira Toriyama has done with Dragon Quest, but Studio Ghibli did with Ni no Kuni. Are there any other art styles or illustrators you think would have a fantastic style for, or if it was an original IP that just would transfer over to that IP, or just any works that you feel could be turned into an RPG?
I'm not sure about works that could be turned into an RPG, at least not off the top of my head, because I think where we talked earlier about there being so many obvious similarities between the mediums, I think half the things, if not more, that I read could easily be a video game. But in terms of like what I personally think would work the best, I think any mangaka that have unique art styles, people like Hiroyuki Takei, the mangaka of Gachiakata, I can't remember her name, Kei Orana, I think it is. They have really unique styles. Yeah, Eiichiro Oda for One Piece. Unique art styles, I think, adapt really well into video games because it gives them something that feels like their own. That's, I think, what Akira Toriyama's style works so well for Dragon Quest, and why the Ghibli style works so well for Ni no Kuni. They're recognizable styles. The sad truth about a lot of anime and manga out there is that a lot of artists have very similar styles, so it's often hard to differentiate from one to the next. But there are artists such as the ones I mentioned that have really standout styles that you would notice them from a mile away. So yeah, like my boy Hiroyuki Takei for Shaman King has a very unique style. If that had its own video game in that style, not necessarily a Shaman King game, but any game in that style, I'd know immediately that it was that artist. And I bring up Gachiakata as well, which is a newer serialization. That art style is very graffiti focused, very gritty, but completely unique. So I think stuff like that would work really well being, key art or key character art direction for an RPG or video games in general.
Nice. What about vice versa? Do you think there are any games out there that would make fantastic manga or anime? Obviously there has been some, again, correct me if I'm wrong, the only ones I can think of that have gone the other way around, other than Pokemon that we said earlier, you've got Devil May Cry and Hellsing, I believe, went that way around as well.
No, I think Hellsing had a manga first. Could be wrong, like you might have thrown me off my game now, but I'm fairly certain it had a manga first. But Devil May Cry is a good one. And there's also Castlevania. But I guess they also, because like Devil May Cry's got an anime now, that's just started. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard the soundtrack, which does slap, but I'm biased about that. Once I heard it had like Papa Roach and Evanescence on it, I was sold.
I'm sold.
Yeah, but I haven't watched it yet, so I can't speak on the anime itself. But Castlevania, again, is obviously had an anime adapted from the games. I think there's a lot of heavy Western influence in both those productions, so that I think there's a lot of arguments to be said from people that aren't sure whether it can really be classed as anime or not. But that's a completely different topic. I'm not going to digress into that.